Hello everybody and welcome to the beautiful Monterey Peninsula. This place has got just about everything that your heart would ever desire. Fantastic coastline, golf courses if you are of that persuasion, some fantastic driving roads for 2 or 4 wheels. Oh, and did I mention the restaurants? Great restaurants as well. The left coast is the best coast, is what people around here say. We're just between Monterey and Salinas in California for 11 corners and just under 2¼ miles of a really fabulous circuit that has changed very little down through the years. Yes, we've got the infield section now round the dry lake bed, from which WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca gets its name, whereas before, of course, it used to just go straight up the hill, and I can barely think that they used to do that, particularly with the big Formula cars. It's a beautiful day. Of course it's a beautiful day. It's always fantastic here, and in front of us 120 minutes of action. Temperature in the air 24 Celsius, on the track 30 degrees Celsius, so it's come down a wee bit from earlier on today. We've got the Hyundai pace car as it is now, safety car if we should see it again, in the N blue, the eggshell blue, leading the field around in 2 classes with 17 GS GT4 cars and 8 of the TCR class cars. At the front, car barn with Peregrine Racing, Audi and Nate Stacey behind the wheel on the outside of the front row for Core Motorsport. So that's Tyler McQuarrie and Nate Stacey on the front row. The Core Motorsports Aston leading the championship, and one of its very close contenders right on the front row. Winward Racing getting better and better, but haven't had the results that their pace has deserved. Russell Ward on the inside of row 2 in the dark coloured AMG GT4, the number 4 car. James Pesic, not dark at all. That car is not a shrinking violet. The number 40 is bright pink, the Ford Mustang GT4. On row 3, Alan Brynjolfsson, highlighter yellow Archangel Motorsports Aston Martin Vantage GT4. Their second race with an Aston Martin, but not with this Aston Martin. As the previous race at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, the chassis was written off in an accident, and that is a new car to the team. He's got Jeff Mosing for company for Murillo Racing in the number 56. That's the metallic ginger or copper coloured Mercedes-Benz. Got one more, 2¼ miles behind the safety car before we come to the green. Behind Mosing, it's Bimmerworld BMW, Winward with the second of their AMG GT4s, then the second of the Bimmerworld BMWs. Motorsports in action, Mia with their McLaren 570S. Sheena Monk will start that car from 10th position. Haley Deegan from Multimatic in the Ford Mustang, next up in the 22 car. Then Murillo Racing, their second car, Tim Probert in the 65. Then it's Riley Motorsports, BGB, Rebel Rock Racing, Frank Depew starting before handing over the Chevrolet Camaro GT4R2 to Robin Liddell, the Scotsman, who loves this place. Vin Barletta coming off his first win of the season last time out for Turner Motorsports. Then Car Barn at the back of the field. In TCR, it's Hyundai, Audi, and that is 21, 98, 33. All Brian Herder Autosports with Kirk Agajanian Veloster NTCRs. The first of the non-Hyundais is the Audi from Fast MD Racing. That's Max Faulkner with Speed Syndicate, the number 23 car. Then it's LA Honda World. Then it is the Roadshagger Racing, Gavin Ernston Audi, and right at the back is the fourth of the Brian Herder Autosports with Kirk Agajanian Hyundai Velosters. That's the number 29 car. That's how the full field lines up. No Turner Motorsport BMW GT4. It's a non-starter, the number 96. Shea Adam, why is that car not on the grid?
Because of a severe damage sustained to it at turn 10 yesterday, about 24 hours ago, when Vin Barletta was behind the wheel. So that car is not starting, but the good news is Vin and Robbie are teamed up. They're in the 95, and they are 16th on the grid in that car.
Side by side start, no break between the GS's and the TCRs. The field now under the control of the Carbon with Peregrine Racing Audi on pole position. Tyler McQuarrie from the left-hand side of the grid as the green flag is waved, and we are racing in WeatherTech Racing Laguna 120 for the Michelin Pilot Challenge of 2020. Fabulous start by the Audi. Aston drops into second place, then the bright pink of the Mustang trying to go around the outside for James Pesic. He's got Russell Ward on his inside, and they're still side by side as they go up to turn number 3, and Russell Ward has to give best. Oh, he's not, he's trying to go around the outside and almost drops to Michelin tyres onto the dirt at the exit of turn 3, and already we've got a spinner at the
pole
start.
sitter.
In fact, that's the pole sitter. Thank you, Shay. That is the pole sitter in the Hyundai that's gone around, and there's a couple of cars involved in that, both Hyundais. This is disastrous for the Veloster team, and that's serious damage for both of them. The 21 has dropped way back down. That was Gotsecker, and I think in there as well is it the 98? It is the 98. I thought I saw the blue as the dust settled. It was coming out of the Andretti hairpin at turn 2, and both of those cars are very badly damaged, and we have gone full course yellow. It will be what's called a short yellow, but I have to tell you now, the 21 car is got severe damage. Shea Adam, this is huge news for the championship. There was no gap between the back of the GS field and the TCR field. They were getting in amongst it, and it was the BGB Porsche that was right in the middle of that, and that was the issue. They'd caught up with the back of the TCR, with back of the GS field, my apologies, and got into a bit of RG and, if you will, bargy, and that is what started the issue, as the TCR cars are so quick through the twisty bits. They're very good on the brakes, and there was a bit of bumping. One of the Multimatic Mustangs further up the field also involved as well in what I think was a different incident. That must have been, Jeremy, the Multimatic Mustang that was in 10th or 11th position, the GT4, the number 22 car.
Yeah, it was the two ladies actually, Sheena Monk and Hayley Deegan, getting together there, and Sheena Monk got well sideways in the McLaren, but further back, it's a problem we see when the TCR cars are a good bit quicker than the tail end of the GS cars, and I would really like to go back. I've said this countless times in the past. I would really like to go back to the old system where we had the two classes starting a little bit separated, particularly when there's such a big discrepancy in the speed of the cars. This is absolutely horrendous news for the Brian Herder Autosport with Kerbager JD team. The two front row contenders, 2 of the 3 championship contenders out on the first lap, and I think you've got to put that down to the fact that the GS cars just aren't quick enough. They don't get up to speed. They were trying to go 3 wide coming out of the Andretti hairpin, and 9 times out of 10 that's going to end in disaster. It certainly did here.
Sure, Adam, I think there was a third car involved there, and I think it might have been another Hyundai.
I think it was the 33, John, that actually sustained some left front damage. I am watching the pit lane to see if he does dive in, but that car is second in the championship battle coming in. Our leaders are the 98, so the blue Hyundai. They have 230 points. Second in the championship is the red one. They have 222 points. And third place is the black Hyundai, which is now on the pit lane with me, 219 points for them. So that's first, second, and third, all involved in that crash off the start. Who's fourth in the championship right now? Well, that would be Gavin Ernstone and John Morley, who did not qualify the car. And they now are sitting in a very good position to inherit a lot of points today if they can make it to the end, because the blue Hyundai will go no further. The black one has rear suspension damage and will need a lot more work.
Yeah, and second at the moment, scored second at the moment, Gavin Ernstone. I may not have qualified, but my goodness me, he started well and he expertly picked his way through the carnage that was going on ahead of him and sits in behind Ryan Norman in the number 33 Hyundai Veloster, which does indeed have right front bodywork damage, but I think they've been quite lucky because one of their team cars spun right across the front of them. But I think that's all it is at the moment. Of course, they're in behind the Hyundai safety car, and they're not up to speed. In fact, the 98 car hasn't got much further than the exit of turn number 2. It's on the short straight, I think, between turns 2 and 3. I know the guys won't want to give it up, Jeremy, but I just can't see the 21 going any further. This is the 3rd place car in the championship. It's in the pit lane. They've got to take that behind the wall. That's a lot of damage. Too much to fix on the pit lane.
Yeah, no question about that. That's going to be I mean, they might be able to get it out again. They might be able to get a few points. Of course, the good news is that there are only 8 TCR cars here. So the worst they can do is finish in 8th position, which is 23 points. So they're only going to lose a dozen. So they're jolly lucky that a lot of the other contenders, the regular contenders in the class, didn't make the move out to the West Coast. Because if that incident had happened, it was Tom Collingwood there, who's kind of on the outside, and got squeezed, I think, by the 2 Hyundais that were side by side. If this had happened a couple of weeks ago, it would have been a lot more costly. There were 14 or 15 cars at Michelin Raceway last time out. So, this is 7 or 8 points that wouldn't have otherwise been lost.
It's a very, very long way, Shea, for them to push that Hyundai to the cutout to get behind the wall.
11 pit boxes for the crew to try and force a car with the wheel pointing in the wrong direction back down the pit lane, and then they can roll it behind the wall. Then they have to take it back to their tent. It's going to be a very difficult day for that crew, and actually the IMSA pit lane officials, and Craig, they're lending a hand. That just shows you the amount of effort required to try and move this car back behind the wall.
It's like trying to push a car that's got a parking brake on the e-brake on, actually, because that wheel is at such an angle. Well, it was certainly Ryan Norman. He got into the side of the Collingwood Porsche 718, the BGB Motorsports GS car.
No, I don't think so, John. No, I think it was the 2 front row cars that got together there. I think Ryan Norman was kind of next in line. I think, I might be wrong, but I think it was the 2 front row guys, starters there, which were...
It was a red car that got into the side of the 38 to start the whole thing. I'm pretty certain. I think the 33 had a really good start and was, in fact, already in front of the 98 car. He goes around the outside of turn 1 and 2, and then tries to go in between the Collingwood car and the black 21 on the inside. And I'm pretty certain that was the 33 car that is still leading the race, the Ryan Norman car, and that's how he got the damage on the right front. I would expect there'll be a bit of a rub on the left rear of the 38, Jeremy.
Yeah, okay, well, fair enough. So what happened to the other front row starter then? Because that was a very odd incident all the way around.
Well, Ryan Block in the Alpha was in behind them, and he had to check up, and he's dropped right to the back now. Gottsaka is in the pits, and the 98 car hasn't got any further, having had the biggest of the shunts. Ironically, of course, sort of minding their own business there on the inside. The 21 car has got the worst damage. They've had to put a jack under the back of it now to get it off the pit lane. The 2 cars that weren't directly involved, the 21 and the 98, are the 2 worst damaged cars. This is the harshness of motor racing. And the 33 that must have got... Where did the 33 start, Jeremy?
3rd.
Right, okay. So the 33 must have got a cracking start, because going into turn 1, it was already ahead of the 98 car and was trying to go around the outside of both the 33, both the 21, the black Hyundai, and the Porsche came in ahead of it. So... must have got a great start coming off the final corner. But as we mentioned, as they were coming to green, no gap between TCR and the back of the GS field, and the front wheel drive cars, much easier, Jeremy, to warm up your front tyres on those cars by just getting some heat into them, spinning them up a little bit, putting some energy into them by weaving left and right and turning them very hard and instigating some push, some understeer through, than it is to get the tyres up to heat on the rear wheel drive GS cars.
True, yeah. But it's really a factor of the I I think primarily the TCR cars in amongst the GS cars, and 3 wide on the exit of that corner. It does tend to narrow up there. There's a fairly wide curb, then there's the dirt, and if you get on the dirt, you're probably going to go sideways, and then after that, it's anybody's guess what's going to happen, and it's kind of a there's sort of a ping pong effect in there.
Correct.
And, the guys on the outside are just always going to come off worse. So they're kind of minding, as you say, sort of minding their own business. But you just got to be a little bit more careful, basically, at the start. Is what it boils down to.
So we are under the safety car for a first lap incident at the exit of turn 2 that actually involved 4 cars. 2 have kind of got away with it. 2 certainly have not. And the Alpha also got a bit of a ding as well, a bit of side-by-side contact with someone else coming through, which I think was the number 77 Honda that came through. And again, no fault. I'm not attaching any fault there. That was just the melee that went on behind that initial contact between the bright red number 33 Brian Herter Autosport Hyundai Veloster, the Ryan Norman car, and the BGB. The BGB Motorsports Porsche 718 Cayman. As we will go back to green this time around, we'll get an update from Shea Adam once we get back to green flag on the extent of the damage on those Velosters. Here we go, another great jump from Tyler McQuarrie, car bound with Peregrine Racing. The Audi sprints off into the lead, already had 6.5, nearly 7 tenths at the line, and round the outside James Pesic has a look into turn number 2, tries to get the Mustang to turn in around the Aston Martin, but that was very optimistic indeed, but he's still looking very good. Huge amount of dust being thrown up from drivers that have been off the track. It's still Russell Ward in 4th position in the dark coloured Mercedes, the number 4, with the very dark red hindquarters on that car. Then Mosing, Brynjolfsson, Claire Galanti, Ward and Gina Monk in 10th position in the McLaren. A little more restrained on the restart, Jeremy.
Yeah, once again we saw that the GS cars were allowed to move ahead of the TCRs there for the restart. Really not quite sure why they bothered. They should have really stayed at the back, I think. And just give the TCR cars an easy run there, but whatever. But look, out in front there, Tyler McQuarrie wants to get a great restart. What a drive this by James Pesic. Absolutely superb up at the front here. A career best qualifying effort. His previous best was 9th on the grid. And that was last time out, actually, at Michelin Raceway. So to qualify 4th, running 3rd now in that bright pink Mustang. Excellent effort by him. And in qualifying, we saw the front 2, they were way ahead of everybody else in qualifying, as they have been often this season. This is the 9th race, 5 times to have started on the front row. But the next 4 cars were covered by less than a tenth of a second.
Got some penalties for you. Car number 77, pass under yellow. That will be a drive through for the LA Honda World Honda Civic. Also with a penalty for a jump start. That's the number 95 car that is going to be pinged for that. That's Finn Barletta for Turner Motorsport, and I did see a 3rd one as well, and that was the 23 car that had a pass under yellow. So that is another drive through penalty there, and that's for Max Faulkner in the Audi. Promised you an update from the Velosters involved in that first lap incident. We've got Shea Adam with this VP Racing Fuel hit report on the extent of the damage. Shea?
It's a broken toe link for the black Hyundai. That's the 21 car. The 98, which is the blue one, had to stop. Broken cooler. And the 33, which is the red one, still circulating and currently leading the class. They believe the damage is cosmetic only, but they are being very aware and have told Ryan Norman on the radio, stay on top of it. Let us know if you feel anything out of the ordinary.
Shea Adam with that VP Racing Fuel pit report. It's Jeremy Shaw with me, John Hindhaugh, in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre. 15 minutes gone, and we are on our 3rd racing lap. Well, we are now, as Tyler McQuarrie crosses the line in a 1:32.1 4.44, a new overall best, as you might imagine. Sun just beginning to sink down. Drivers right as they come across the start-finish line. Already at this time of the year, of course, very different conditions from when we're normally here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, but fabulous that the race is on, and well done to the track and particularly to the volunteers to make this happen, also to our teams, sponsors and the IMSA officials and safety crew, medicals, the track support, everybody who's put this together. Gavin Ernstone's just shuffled back one position to third now in TCO as the number 29 has gone through. That's another one of the Hyundais, but this time it's the green and white car. Running under the Brian Herter Autosport with Curb Agajanian banner as well this weekend. So new second place, Jeremy, in TCR.
Yeah, and Gavin Ernstone there, he's been struggling with some back spasms, so he's doing well to hang on there as best he can. He'll be happy to do that. He will hand over this car to Jonathan Morley, who makes his home now in San Francisco area, so it's very much a home race for these guys, and looking to run stronger, which is exactly what they're doing at the moment. And they've got two GS cars right ahead, and that's Frank Depew, and looking to the inside of Frank Depew is Tim Probert in number 65, Marilla Racing Mercedes. Well, nice pass actually, Tim, well done. And now Frank Depew is going to be overtaken, I think, by the two leaders in TCR, but of course not on the straightaway. They'll have to wait till they get to the Mario Andretti hairpin. But meanwhile, out in front, Tyler McCorry just checking out. 132.5 last time round. We talked about the fast laps, 132.14 the previous lap. That's only a gnat's whisker away from the lap record that was set last year by Carl Marcelli in a Ford Mustang.
So we've had the two of the three penalties served. In fact, Max Faulkner in the Fast MD Audi has stayed out. We've had in the LA Honda World Honda Civic number 77, and we've also had in, I think, the number 95. Yes, we have. Michelin Pilot has been in to serve their penalty. Oh, debris on the circuit, just coming out of turn number 6, and the leading TCR, the number 23, had to go around, 33, excuse me, Ryan Norman had to go around that. Gavin Ernstone's just closed in a little bit to the back of the two Hyundais. Gavin will be loving this. Really smart driving from Gavin, by the way, in that melee at the start of the race. Remember, he started dead last in the field and found himself in second place as the two Hyundais ahead, weaving left and right behind the Urban Grid sponsored Camaro. That's the white, green and black car from Rebel Rock Racing. Sorry, I just paused there just to see how much Frank Depew can pull away, and the answer is about 10 cars lengths. Yeah, great driving by Gavin Ernstone, but not so good by the leader. Ryan Norman's gone wide at the exit of turn 2, and in the run to turn 3 we have Hyundai side by side. Now come on, pit nicely, lads. We've already had two teammates together in the Velocities, and that's helped Ernstone. In behind Ernstone, a car he's not racing, that's the BGB Motorsports Porsche Cayman that's been passed again by the front-running TCR cars, just underlining how quick these TCR cars are through the twisty stuff. And we've still, Shea, not had the 23 Fast MD Racing Audi in there, and I'm going to check back on my notes, but I'm pretty certain that that car did get a drive-through penalty. Yep, pass under yellow, and I reckon that's now 3 laps. So he's got to come in at the end of this one or face another penalty.
He has passed the pit entrance 3 times now, so I believe that it will be another penalty at this point, regardless of if he comes in or not. He's already missed his opportunity.
All right, okay. At IMSA Radio, if you want to get in touch with us, lovely to hear from you wherever you are in the world. And this time, the 23 does come into the pit lane. Max Faulkner in the Audi to serve the penalty. Maybe there was a bit of argument going on, and we've got full course yellow for the debris. Now, did that Audi get in before the full course yellow came out? Answer, yes, he did.
Yes.
By about 8 seconds, though, that's all. And it's the debris that is... Oh, there's more debris on the track, because that's at the exit of turn... I think that's at the exit of turn 10. And that's fallen lovely, Jeremy, for the Fast MD car and Max Faulkner, because he's effectively now lost no ground at all. He's lost a few positions, but he's right back on the TCR, the back of the TCR train.
Yeah, and I think he's only going to fall behind one car, actually. Yeah, he just fall behind Ryan Block, and probably Taylor Hagler as well, because she also had a penalty at the restart. So it'll cost him a couple of positions, so really no big deal at all. And he'll be able to hang on to the train of that car as he was doing beforehand. So that's certainly a stroke of luck there for the number 23 car. I'm sure they were kind of arguing with the officials that he didn't deserve the penalty, and they're going to do that as long as they can. And once they've realised that there's no, that the answer is no, then get that car in to the pits as quickly as they can. And luckily, as you say, John, they were able to do that before the full course caution. That could have been costly otherwise.
Debris turn 1 and 10. No pass around. Bit of a stop-start race again here for the Michelin Pilot Challenge and the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca 120. This should be fairly quickly sorted out. No pass around. I'm not sure anybody was eligible for one, Jeremy, to be honest.
No, well, James Pezic lost a couple of positions, I think on that a lap, or maybe it was a previous lap. He lost positions both to Jeff Mosley and to Adam Brynjolfsson, who's up into 5th position. Then James Pezic down to 6th, just ahead of the two Bimmer World BMWs, James Clay and Nick Galante. And then Bryce Ward, Sheena Monk and Hayley Deegan all hanging on there with that train of cars before we went full course yellow. Out in front, Tyler McCory, he was set to disappear, but then settled back into a more sensible rhythm. He didn't want to put too much gap between himself and the pursuers, didn't want to take too much out of his tyres, of course. That little Audi, it's a nimble little car. It's going to be very, very hard to beat, I think, today. The Aston Martin certainly can stay with it. The Aston Martins can stay with it, because Trent Hinman is going to take over from Alan Brynjolfsson's second part of this race. I think it's going to be a battle between the Audi and the Astons in the latter stages of this race.
That's Jeremy Shaw. He's alongside me, John Hinoff, from the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre. Once again, the Hyundai safety car is out on the circuit. Any takers as the pits are open for GS? We do have some takers. Shea Adams, stand by. Alan Brynjolfsson on his way down to you. No, driver time has not been met yet.
Not even close. We are 23 minutes into this race by the time these cars have triggered the pit in signal. So yes, the Volt yellow, bright yellow Archangel Motorsports Aston Martin into the pit lane. Alan Brynjolfsson looks like fuel and 4 tires going on that car, so giving him a little bit of help. Also into the pit lane, we had both of the Bimmer World BMWs, James Clay in the 82 and hometown hero Nick Galante in the 80. They both are also taking fuel and tires. We've got the 35, that's Jim Cox in the Riley Motorsport Mercedes in fuel and tires for that car as well. And the first car to get rolling once again is Tim Probert in the 65 Murillo Racing. That is the orange with the white hood Mercedes for that crew. That was fuel only for that organization. I believe Frank Depew also came in and did fuel only in the Rebel Rock Racing Camaro. Vin Barletta is in getting fuel and tires in the 95 Turner Motorsport BMW. And Samir Gandhi for the 93 Carbon. They brought this car in separate from the one that's leading the race because they want to give both cars as much space as possible for their pit stop. So fuel and tires for Samir, who's making his series debut this weekend for 2020. He typically races at Laguna because this is a home track.
Shea Adam with that BP Racing fuel pit report. Now, what happened to the 93? There were Stationary.
Oh, no.
They moved. They've moved with the hose on. That's going to be a penalty right there. And that will cost the Carbon machine. Now, that isn't the car leading the race. This is the team car sitting down the field. And that will be, at the very least, for Carbon and Samir Gandhi, a drive-through situation.
Yeah, and the reason we saw some of those GS cars come into the pits was in order to shorten up their next stop, which would be after the minimum drive time has elapsed. So those cars, when they come in next time and are kind of able to make a stop to do the driver change, they'll leave a lot less fuel, they've got their tyres changed, and it'll be a much faster stop than the other guys that come in from the front of the field that did not stop, which is the front 8 cars, actually top 5 didn't stop. So they will all, and several others behind them as well, didn't stop. They will need a much longer pit stop when they come in once the 40 minutes have elapsed in this race.
Shit.
We've got the 33 of Ryan Norman into the pit lane. Now, this is a rare stop. 4 tires going onto a TCR machine. Typically, when we see TCR pit stops, it's front tires only, but they have elected to change all 4. Now, we did have a 2-tire stop. That was for the 23 Fact MD Audi. That is Max Faulkner who started the car, but the first car back off the pit lane is the Alpha. That's the number 5 of Roy Block. Fuel only for that car, and Ryan Norman still in the pit lane getting his tires changed, as Taylor Hagler is actually the second car back out. So the Honda, with a great stop, has jumped back up the charts quite a bit, but not coming into the pit lane. Importantly, Spencer Brockman in the 29, that's the white Hyundai, and Gavin Ernstone in the 61, looking to meet the minimum drive time, which will elapse in about 13.5 minutes. So Gavin's staying out.
And again, that same reason for these TCRs coming into the pits. They don't need to come into the pit stops right now, but if they do so, the next stop will be shorter, and that's the critical stop.
Yeah, and all the TCRs really, had it fallen nicely for them, Jeremy, they could probably have done this on the TCRs. Could they have done this on just one stop? Can they go an hour here? Is a quick track?
Yeah, they probably can, and that's because the interesting thing here is that yes, they probably can do it on one stop. And with so few cars in this race in TCR, there's only 6 of them left now. The strategic stop like that really isn't, I don't think, as effective as it would have been otherwise. It's certainly not as it is in GS.
So the Hyundai safety car pulls into the pit lane, and we are off and racing again. The green flag waved with some vigour by Dennis Paul over the starter stand, and Tyler McQuarrie heads through the kink at turn 1, and once again it's the pink Mustang of James Pesic who tries to go around the outside. This time he's trying to go past the Murillo Racing AMG GT4, and once again it doesn't work for him. Has a look down the inside at turn 3, but that's not going to work either on that chrome copper machine. Oh, and a problem for that's the 38 Porsche. Well, they've had a very, very eventful race already, haven't they? That's a couple of times on the restart that BGB Porsche Cayman has been off to the side of the road, very wide at the exit of turn 2, and got a little gentleman's excuse me from Frank Depew in the number 71 Urban Grid Rebel Rock Camaro. Now, in fairness, the Porsche had gone very, very wide and was off the track and trying to get back on there, Jeremy.
Yeah, and not only that, he didn't get up to speed really. Once he'd got himself sorted out down there, out in the dirt stuff, he didn't really get on the throttle as much as Frank Depew, I'm sure, expected in any case. So kind of a double question mark there for Tom Collins.
Frank Depew side by side for a moment with one of the BMWs. And that wasn't Vin Barletta, it was the other BMW, so that must have been James Clay in the Bimmer World car. Yes, it was. So James Clay's had a very good restart indeed, as he is trying to pick his way through with the TCR cars right there as well. Alpha up to 3rd position for Ryan Block. So Brockman, Ernstone, Block, Hagler, Faulkner. Your top 5 in TCR. This could be a good point stay, Jeremy Shaw, for Roadshagger Racing and Gavin Ernstone. Exactly what he needs to do.
Yeah, great opportunity for this team, certainly. And it's going to come down to the strategy. They will most likely come in as soon as the 40 minutes have elapsed and make that stop so that John Morley can take over and run to the end. And the question mark is, how long. The bad news for them is, though, if they come at the 40-minute mark, they're probably not going to be able to get to the end of the race without one more pit stop. Correct. So either Gavin stays out longer before making a pit stop and hope that he can get far enough and not be hurting too much, so that John Morley can get in with that one stop and get to the end. I really think that's what it's going to require at this stage, rather than coming in at the earliest opportunity.
I haven't yet seen the penalty called, but it has already been served by the 93. That's the Audi that left with the fuel nozzle attached or leaving the pit box with equipment attached. So that has been taken care of. But we do have 3 significant bad penalties. The Alfa, the Honda, and the Audi, the 23, all of them who pitted together during that yellow flag, they all have stop plus 60s because they all ran the light at pit exit.
That is, and a big manoeuvre at the final corner. Ernstone's involved, and so is Frank Depew, and Depew goes sideways. He already had a little bit of damage from some side-by-side contact earlier on, and the Rebel Rock Camaro is off at the side of the road, and this will be another full course caution. And that's terrible news as well for Gavin Ernstone, who was in second position in TCR. In fact, still is, but has lost most of his right front fender and wheel arch extension. There's debris all over the track again after turn 2, after that coming together from the BGB Cayman. So Depew trying to go around the outside. I think he just lost it on his own, to be honest. The Michelin's broke away. I don't think there was a touch from Ernstone. Ernstone looking to the inside, racing room given. I don't think there was a touch on the rear 3/4. And then Depew just looped it on the dirty stuff, and unfortunately looped it right into the path of the 61 car, Jeremy. I really don't think there was a touch before the incident there. I think that was just a bit of sliding from Depew at the final corner.
Possibly. It was certainly an unnecessary incident from both of their points of view, to be perfectly honest. There's no reason for Frank Depew to be racing that hard, particularly against the guy that's running at the lead of his class. I thought that was rather unnecessary from him, and I think probably Gavin could have been a bit more patient as well. So I'm going to say it as a bit of a shared blame, if you like, on that incident. But this has been a really scrappy race, and I just got to hope that we're going to get some proper sensible racing in fairly soon, because this is rather embarrassing, quite frankly.
Just a question here is, I mean, they came in before the yellow was called to serve their penalty share, but I mean, are they allowed to do that, serve the penalty whilst the yellow is out, or is the fact that they're in the pit lane mean all's fair?
They were in the pit lane before the yellow came out, so they are allowed to serve their penalty while the yellow is out. That's the way that the rule is written. Unfortunately, the 23, which remember was the car that had the drive-through penalty and waited until the last possible opportune moment to serve it before, they didn't come in at their first possible moment, and had they done that, they too would have served their penalty under yellow. Now they need to wait until the lap after we've gone back green to be able to come in and serve their stop in 60.
Okay, and I think that Frank Depew was going to try and get back, but I think there's some overheating issues for that car, maybe some other issues. He's pulled to one side. He's now dropped off the lead lap, but he's trying to get the Camaro restarted. Jeremy, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'd forgotten, of course, that the 23 car had another penalty, didn't it? So, yeah, it's going from bad to worse for a whole bunch of people. I think there was contact in there, but whatever, they were both racing harder than they needed to, given where they were. You know, you've got to pick your fights. You're fond of that saying, John. You're absolutely right. You know, there's no point in battling that hard with somebody that's in a completely different class. Very frustrating for Gavin Ernstone, of course, because the two leaders in TCR, they'd got past Frank Pugh and had pulled away. So Gavin Ernstone didn't want to lose too much ground to them. I understand that, certainly. And very frustrating to have a car that is so much quicker on the straights, just not up to speed through the corners.
Yeah, well,
that's going to be very costly.
In fact, Gavin has held on to second place there, because remember, he got past in the pit stop, so he had held on to second position, and sorry, because he didn't pit, excuse me, he was back up to second behind the Brockman, the 29 car, and he still is in second despite that damage. Although with the pits now open for TCR, will he come in this time? No, he's gone around, bit of fresh air over the front right Michelin. He's not going to overheat that front right Michelin, is he?
No, that's true. Look on the bright side, yeah, good for you.
And I'm hearing the pass around is being completed. And this is counting as a short yellow. That's nothing to do with how long it actually takes. This is all about the protocol in between, and therefore I believe the pits will not open, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, they would open last time, so this is another short yellow, so yes, the pits will not be open this time around.
So, scrappy do on this one, on our Super Saturday. Sunday, we've got qualifying for IMSA WeatherTech, 8:30 Pacific time. But don't forget, clocks fall back 1 hour tonight in the US. So you get an extra hour in bed, those of you at the racetrack and in the US. For those of you outside the US who changed your clocks last weekend, just remember to do the different time change. So, for example, at the moment in the UK, it is only 7 hours difference between Pacific time and GMT. 8 hours if you're in Central Europe, of course. Well, that will change by an hour, and therefore it will be 8 and 9 by the time cars are on the track tomorrow morning. So make sure you've got that right. If you're not sure, go to radio-show.co.uk and check our schedule for RS2 IMSA Radio. It will transfer automatically to your browser time, so you know what time that you need to be tuned in tomorrow. Well, we've seen rather more of the very pretty blue Hyundai Veloster N safety car than we would have liked. 3 interventions from that car. And our longest green flag, all of 8.5 minutes.
Yeah, we've broken twice as much yellow flag laps as green flag laps in this race so far, John.
Now the key thing here, I'm looking at the clock, 1 hour 22 and 10 seconds to go, but the pits haven't opened and won't open under yellow. But I think, depending on when that Hyundai Veloster N pulls in, we're going to be pretty close, Jeremy, to drive time being complete. And I would not be surprised to see a few people drop in as soon as the pits reopen, which would have to be after, as we've gone through rather, and the next lap around. You can't follow the safety car in.
Not really, because if you come in now, you're going to have to make another stop before the end of the race.
Fair point. Yeah.
So
yeah.
You're going to stay out there now. You know, the GS cars have already made their pit stop. With all this yellow, they might be able to make this race on one stop as well at a stretch. So you know, if
one more stop.
Those cars. Well, yes, but even the cars that haven't pitted at a real stretch. Certainly, but the cars that have pitted, yeah, they should be able, I think, if there's any more caution before the end of the race, they probably will be able to get to the end from here. So they're going to extend this second stint, I would suggest, and then come in with about 50 minutes to go, 45, 50 minutes to go, and then they can run to the end from there. because they can certainly run for another half an hour, the cars that have stopped.
Yeah. Yes, that's very true. Now, this is going to be a rather more complex recovery for the Rebel Rock Racing Urban Grid Camaro, with Frank Lepew having had that contact with the 71, trying to get the car back around, but clearly something has prevented him from doing so. There was an awful lot of smoke coming out the front. I do wonder whether maybe he has done a radiator, either an oil or a coolant radiator, and also there was all kinds of bodywork fouling on the front wheels. And I think probably Frank deciding discretion being the better part of valour as soon as he dropped off the lead lap. Gavin Ernstone in the 61 car, still sitting in second position, and although he's got right front damage to that car, it looks like all the wheels are pointing pretty much in the right direction. The other car that had an incident earlier on was number 33, the bright red Brian Herter Autosport. That's the Ryan Norman car. That's now in fourth position, and of course just sitting behind its competitors. Right in front is Max Faulkner in the Fast MD Audi, which has had a drive-through. So there's hardly anybody in that TCR field who hasn't had some issue. And now, have we got an issue for the Pesek car? We have. The Pesek car has lost fire from the Ford V8. And
He's trying to refire the engine, is he?
yes, he's trying to bump start it, Jeremy. The lights have gone out now. That was behind the safety car. There was a cough, a splutter, and behind the number 60, Russell Ward clearly on the radio saying, can I pass him? Can I pass him? He's grinding to a halt. The team will have immediately been speaking to IMSA, and now the 40 car has drawn a blank in terms of forward momentum and ground to a halt at turn 5. Well, unbelievable. What is going on?
Could go wrong. It's a crazy day. I tell you, it's a full moon tonight, isn't it? Halloween.
Yes.
Hang on.
You know, we've seen some crazy stuff earlier.
Is it a full moon?
Today.
And it's All Hallows Eve, and we've got a full moon.
Yeah.
Let me get the guitar.
Stand back. Don't go out tonight.
I've got the chords for that. We'll have a bit of Creedence Clearwater Revival, shall we? I'll get the guitar plugged in.
There's a
Do we need
race
to
early
get
this
Brian
afternoon.
back?
Can I talk about this Lamborghini Super Trofeo race? Can I talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the pole sitter, early race leader, for 2 laps before he came into the pits because they'd forgotten to put any fuel in the car before the race. All he had was what was left over in qualifying. So that doesn't happen terribly often either.
Yes. Oh dear. So a full blue and hunter's moon tonight, I'm being told by those that know all things lunar.
Was out there.
Yes. I am very tempted to get the Schecter out and just give a bit of a twang.
Let's get Brian back.
Almost. Oh, no, I don't need Brian to play the chords for full Bad Moon Rising. Don't worry. I think I can manage. It's almost within. I just can't quite do it without taking the headset off, unfortunately. The good news is that there is a cutout just at turn number 5. The better news is that means that you don't have to suffer me playing Bad Moon Rising. And James Pesek car, I mean, just heartbreaking for PF, is now out of the way. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, the Pesek family team, PF Racing.
Yeah.
I mean, hats off to James. I mean, he's made huge strides in his driving this year. He's had several different co-drivers in that car. He's now kind of settled on Chad McCumbee, who's really done an excellent job. They've had some really strong results. They've had some good qualifying runs, just getting better and better and better. And starting today on the second row of the grid, running in a top 5 before this car suddenly just ground to a halt. And I guess it must have just stalled under the caution, and for some, unfortunately, just not able to fire it up again. But
that's exactly what it looked like,
really
Jeremy.
A shame. Yeah.
What it looked like to me was that he wasn't getting any fuel. So either no fuel pressure or no fuel, because it just literally ground to a halt, and you could almost see him trying to bump started on the momentum, but there was either no the lights were still on at that point, so he still had some electrical power. So I wonder if he had no fuel or no fuel pressure. Very odd. Very odd. Ah, dear.
What we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of maybe 5 laps of green flag racing. Out of 22 now completed as they come across the line this time. Really, really a shame. I mean, you know, we used to see drama in these Michelin Pilot Challenge races, but it's normally kind of good drama. It's not bad drama. The last race was a bit messy as well. Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, unfortunately, but this one takes it to a stage further. But you know, hopefully we get all these bad vibes out of the way, and the final kind of hour and a quarter of this race, so see if we can get going fairly soon, will be, let's say, normal for the Michelin Pilot Challenge.
We have hit minimum drive time for those for whom that matters. I'm also a little bit concerned about the debris on the right-hand side of Gavin Ernstone's Audi, because the remnant of the wing, I think it's now caught up on the door mirror, and that's about all that's holding it on at the moment. And I do wonder if he might get a mechanical black flag for that, because race control will not want that coming off and causing another yellow.
Yeah, of course, the bad news is the pits are closed right now, so he can't come in and take on service, can he? Because this is a designated short yellow, so the pits are not open. You cannot bring that car in. Just to, you know, super frustrating, because I'm sure that's what they like to do, but they can't.
Good point. And it's on the wrong side for him to even sort of lean out of the window and give it a bit of a tug. And it's not as if he's got a teammate out there who can get up alongside him and do that either. Unfortunate. We're going back to green flag. The BGB came and has followed the safety car in. Now, I don't think the pits are open at this point.
They're open now. As soon as it goes green, they're open.
Well, the BGB car was in, I think, before the green flag came out. We've got a penalty for the Alpha, which was
another one.
Ryan Block pass under yellow. Another pass under yellow for the KMW Motorsports. Dear me.
The 38 car, by the way, that's already a lap off the pace. So,
Shea, has the Fast MD car served its penalty?
Nope, because it couldn't serve it under yellow, and they didn't get in before the yellow came out. So we are still waiting for the Fast MD car to come into the pit lane. This has to be a record for the most amount of time we've ever waited for a car to serve a penalty.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Shea Adam with that BP Racing Fuel Pit report. Well, still something like 24, 25 laps to go at the current pace. Hopefully they'll pick that up a little bit. It is a time certain race, just over an hour and 12 minutes still on the clock. That's the Michelin Pilot Challenge Laguna Seca 120. Sound of the big V8 in the background is that of the Multimatics Mustang. Currently sitting in behind the battling BMW and AMG. That's Bryce Ward, James Clay. And so that is the battle for 5th, 6th and 7th position. Coming out of turn 2 now, heading towards turn 3. And the Optima Batteries Bimmer World M4 takes that position and moves forward. At IMSA Radio, if you'd like to get in touch with us. Jeremy Shaw and John Hindhoff in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre. Shea Adam, BP Racing, Fuels Pit and Paddock Reporter. Deegan down the inside of Ward, turn 5. Nice clean pass, and the 22 goes up to 6th position. Here comes Bryce Ward having a little look into 6th. That's a more difficult pass. You've got to be really up alongside, and Bryce thinks discretion's the better part of valor. Nick Galante now makes it 1, 2, 3 wide for a moment as they're side by side into the right kink, coming into the top of the hill, and Galante goes right down the inside and makes up 2 positions there. Fantastic. On new tyres, of course, that BMW, so with the advantage of a little more grip from new Michelin rubber, and that might be making the difference. Also coming through, Brynjolfsson for Archangel Motorsports in the Aston. See above comment, because that car came into the pit as well, down the inside at the final corner, and will go past the AMG GT4, with which it shares engine architecture. So drivers who took the new tyres, Jeremy, are getting the performance benefit from them pretty much immediately we've gone back to green.
Yeah, they will, and they need to kind of make hay while the sun shines, quite literally, out there. As number 23 car finally serving its penalty. This is going to be very, very costly. They're going to lose a whole lap compared to their competitors. They came into the pits in the 2nd position in the class, but they're going to lose be close to losing a lap. They might just about be able to stay on the lead lap when they get back out again, but it'll be tight. They'll lose a lap to the overall leader. The question is whether they lose a lap to the 2 Hyundais are running out front. Spencer Brockman, that car number 29, you might remember, that car started at the back of the field in TCR because it took a strategic change of tyres after qualifying and before the race. So that's why that car is running out front. Number 33 car, that's already made a pit stop. So the number 29 car has not these 2 Hyundais out in front.
Extraordinary that Fast MD pit stop was assessed and called 21 minutes before they came into the pits, but not all of that was of their own making, of course. So the 2 Hyundais have now cycled back to the front of the TCR field. Brockman from Norman, then Gavin Ernstone's a couple of seconds further back. Then the Honda, that's the 77 machine, as Gavin Ernstone pits. So Ernstone has pitted. Can they get to the end from here? There'll be about an hour and 7 minutes, and Ernstone's in the pits, and followed in by Block and Faulkner. No, excuse me, Faulkner's coming out of the pits last time around. Well, Gavin's definitely done his 40 minutes, Jeremy, but 78 minutes, well, it'll be about 77, 76 minutes. That's a long way to go for that 61 car.
Yeah, it is, and maybe Gavin's struggling behind the wheel there. I would have thought it would be worth staying out at this stage, if they possibly could, to make sure that John Morley can run as fast as he can in the final section of this race. But I think they're going to need another full course caution to get to the end from here, unless they can really stretch the fuel out. It's an hour and 7 minutes remaining. Yeah, maybe you can do that.
Well, when was the last time they were in the pit? They didn't put a lot of fuel in that 61, Jeremy, I'll tell you that, because they were in.
Well, no, they wouldn't.
Oh, yeah, no, that was their first stop. That was their first stop,
yeah,
wasn't
indeed.
it? Yeah,
absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but they haven't used that much fuel. Is the key thing, I suppose. 26 laps Gavin's done, but hardly any of them under green flag conditions. With what? 5, 7. Do you reckon 9? 9 green flag laps for Gavin?
Yeah, not very many.
In 26?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 8 or so, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shea Adam hasn't.
Didn't get his money's worth, I don't think.
Yeah, indeed. Side by side for the TCR lead, down in the first corner. And there's a change for the lead as through goes the bright red number 33. That's a new leader. Ryan Norman then into the lead. By the way, Ryan Block was coming in the Alpha. Remember, he had the drive-through for overtaking under a yellow flag. James Pesek, car just ground to a halt. Shea Adam has this VP Racing Fuel pit and paddock report.
And unfortunately, it is a fuel-related issue. It's a fuel pump issue, the team is saying. I just checked in with them, and they said initial reports that they're getting a fuel pump issue. But, of course, they don't have the car back yet.
Well, I have to say, it looked like that to me. That was only a guess. But that did look like that was the problem. So very, very bad luck for them. That will take them out of the run for this race at the very least. Tyler McQuarrie, we haven't talked about the leading car for a while. The number 39 leads it by 2 seconds from Nate Stacey in the Aston Martin in second. Picking their way through traffic at the moment is Adam Brynjolfsson in the second of the Aston Martins. In fact, he's just gone up to 6th. He's passed the Murillo Racing Mercedes AMG GT4 of Jeff Mosing as he was passing some of the TCR runners. Good run at the front of the field by Tyler McQuarrie, but that is what we've come to expect from Tyler and the Car Barn team, Jeremy. They are past masters at getting the best results they possibly can, and their consistency this season once again has been outstanding.
Yeah, it has. You know, apart from that miscue last time out where they just waited a little bit too long to make that pit stop, just a heartbreaker for that team. You know, it's fairly close on the Audi. Doesn't get particularly good fuel mileage, and it has to come in. You know, it can't do much more than 45 minutes. It can do more than 45 minutes, but they just waited a little bit too long to make that stop last time out. But yeah, you know, in the last that number 39 car, last 22 starts, 11 times 50% on the podium. Only 4 times out of the last 22 starts, and they've failed to finish in the top 4. That is an amazing record, and they were just super unlucky last time out. But this weekend, imperious form there by Tyler McQuarrie. Of course, home race, he's from Danville, California, so only a couple of hours or so away from here. Jeff Westphal, his teammate, he's from San Mateo, which is even closer. Yeah. You know, this whole team, California-based, California drivers, looking for a California victory.
And with still over an hour remaining, Tyler McQuarrie heads to turn number 3, all the way from the left-hand side of the road, picks up the throttle in the middle of the corner, under the walkover bridge, breathing out of the throttle, and then for turn 4, super quick corner that. If you've got a nicely balanced car, you really do very little than coming off the throttle, and the turning of the wheel takes off enough pace for you to get around there. Maybe a little bit of brake, but not very much. Climbing the hill now up to turn 6, and the gap is still 2 seconds. Across the curbs on the exit, just hear the slight rattle of the Michelin tyres as he heads to the top of the hill and the corkscrew up the Bobby Rahal straight. And best wishes again to Mr. Rahal. Hope the recovery is going well. Had a bit of back surgery a few weeks ago now. All in the recovery and the physio from here on in. Any surgery like that, so we wish Mr. Rahal all the best and hope to see him trackside again shortly. So good result at the moment, Jeremy, for Car Barn. They need a win for the championship. Bad news is their championship rivals are only 2 seconds behind them. Actually, made that 1.5 seconds now. So they're not gaining back a whole host of points. Meantime, looks like the exhaust is falling off the 61 car. So they pulled off the remnants of the right fender when Gavin came into the pit lane. John Morley now at the wheel. But I've got a feeling that the very last exhaust hanger has come unfastened. And now that is waving around like a windsock in a hurricane underneath the back of that car.
I suppose it's better than the wheels falling off.
Well, yes, true, Jeremy. I like it. Yeah. Glass half full.
Gracious me. It's, yeah.
He's not last in TCR. He's still 5th in TCR. And I think he's still on the lead TCR lap as well. He is. So they managed to get in and out very quickly indeed.
Let's replay that incident earlier on. It seemed to hit everything else except for the exhaust. She didn't.
Yeah, it's definitely come off the back hanger underneath the rear valance. It's a bit of it's a rubber hanger that's an interference fit, and it's, I think, just popped that one off rather than broken anything. Now the worry will be again, is that putting strain? There is a silencer box on the back of the Audi TCR, very much based on the road car, the RS3 4-door, and the engine, in fact, is pretty much stock. Some of the ancillaries changed over. I was talking to Chris Ranke, the head of Audi Sport Customer Racing at the Nürburgring 24 a month or so ago. He was saying they've had customers with 50 and 60,000 racing kilometres on those engines. And I said, oh, and you know, and when do you advise the rebuild? He said, no, don't rebuild them. We just give you another one. Oh, okay. It is basically a stock engine. Nice little battle going on with Russell Ward, James Clay and Alan Brynjolfsson for Winward, Bimmerworld and Archangel. Mercedes AMG, BMW M4 GT4 and Aston Martin. And that is for 3rd, 4th and 5th. Heading up the hill now through turn 5 and up to turn 6, Jeremy, with spot on 60 minutes, 1 hour, half of this race still to go. Yeah,
and Nick Galanti is not far behind him as well, as we see Aaron Brynjolfsson looking to the inside up of the corkscrew. Is he going to make that move on the inside line? He's going to try. He's going to go through, but is he going to get slowed down? Just about. Great move by Aaron Brynjolfsson, the car number 7. Wow.
Shea Adam has some good news for us in this VP Racing Fuel Pit and Paddock report.
They might be 29 laps behind the next in class, but the 21 Brian Herta Autosport Hyundai lives once again. That's the black one. Came in as the pole sitter to start this race, 3rd in the championship, and they've got to hope for a lot of misfortune to try and make up any position besides 7th, but they are back out on the circuit and going around and round.
Let's be fair, it's not beyond the bounds of possibility, is it, on All Hallows Eve? Trick or treat for Brian Herta Autosport. Well, they are still leading and in 2nd place, but 2 of their championship contenders out very, very early on and with a very long road back to any kind of meaningful points, although with such a small field, as Jeremy Shaw pointed out earlier on, their points loss will not be as bad as it could have been. As Tyler Hagler comes into the pit lane in the LA Honda World number 77, Shea Adam, and that car will be with you any moment now.
And this should be fuel and I would imagine front tires for Ryan Eversley. He does like when he gets some sticker tires thrown at the car as the service goes on and on for this little Honda. And yep, it will be fuel and tires.
And a new driver?
Yes, Ryan Eversley.
Excellent, thank you. Full service to give the car a little bit of a rock to make sure they get all the fuel in. And with an hour or 58 minutes still to go, they're going to need all of that, which does make me think that the 61 of John Morley will have to go for a splash unless there is further intervention from the Hyundai Veloster N safety car. Meantime, the battle for 3rd position now with Alan Brynjolfsson absolutely flying. Remember, he did take new Michelin tyres at the last safety car, so he's got a bit more life and therefore performance in his Michelin tyres than the car he's racing. But he's absolutely flying at the moment and has found real confidence, Jeremy, in this very early running for him and the team with the new Aston Martin Vantage V8.
Yeah, seriously impressive here for
down the inside of turn 3. Go on, yeah. He's gone through as well, Mike.
He's just got the confidence in this car. He just loves the car. It just suits his sort of kind of style of driving. I mean, he's not hugely experienced. He's only been racing for 3 or 4 years, but he just feels much more comfortable in his car than all the different cars he's driven in the past, and there's been a lot of those, including most recently the Porsche, of course. But you know, he absolutely loves the handling it, reveling in it. Qualified 5th, a career best last time out at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, equaled that performance here, and now he's absolutely flying in the top 4 again.
Up in Crewe in the northwest of the United Kingdom, home of Bentley, but Sarah Rigby and Martin Rigby watching and listening on the international feed here from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca will be cheering along. Alan Brynjolfsson like to follow their Aston Martins. The other Aston also making way at the moment, making its way through the field at the moment. That car sitting in 2nd position, and Brynjolfsson's gone through. So it's Audi, Aston, Aston. The top 3 brought to you by the letter A this evening, or this afternoon, as in comes the KMW I was going to say Honda there, I'm very sorry, Alfa Romeo, and this time, Shea, it's not for a penalty.
No, finally, it's fourth trip down the pit lane today, and this one is for a driver change. So Tim Lewis Jr. taking over from Roy Block, and also into the pit lane is the 29 Hyundai. That's the white one with the green. Spencer Brockman started it. Parker Chase will take it to the finish, but the Alfa pit stop fuel and tires for them. So this is their second time that they've come down the pit lane to actually do service in form of fuel and at least 2 tires. Driver change going on for the 29 now. They are doing front tires on the white Hyundai, so 2 tires there for that stop as well, the car which came in from second in class. And back out on the circuit, we do have Ryan Eversley once again, as that pit stop was a little bit longer though, John, because the driver change actually held up the car. It was the last thing to be completed on their stop.
I'm going to set Shea a very important task. I want to know why there is a very small Yoda taped to the right-hand front A-pillar bar of the roll cage on the number 39 Tyler McQuarrie car bomb with Peregrine Racing Audi. Meantime, in comes the second place car. Shea.
Nate Stacey getting out, Kyle Marcelli getting in. These 2 drivers who have done a phenomenal job all year already with 2 race wins on the season coming from the Mid-Ohio round of the championship. Driver change is done and 4 tires going on this car. So this is a full service, waiting on every last drop of fuels. We have 54 minutes remaining of the race. They want to make sure they get a full load in because it will take all of that for the GS cars. This one cannot run out of fuel running to the flag because then they would lose a bunch of championship points. And they have a 20-point buffer right now, but the guys that they're trying to keep behind them are currently leading the race. And away goes Kyle Marcelli.
Yeah, it was a pretty decent stop, and that car is already down and away in the afternoon. Sunshine shadows beginning to lengthen very quickly here. Tomorrow afternoon, the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship race getting underway a little earlier in the afternoon. And for live coverage, whether you're in the US or further afield, IMSA Radio should be your first choice. We're on Sirius XM as well tomorrow for the WeatherTech race. If you are in the US and watching NBCSN, 6:30 tape delay for the WeatherTech race tomorrow. 6:30 Eastern, that is, tomorrow. Shea, go ahead.
Can I do a PSA because I feel kind of guilty at this point? Driver time is coming up. Teams, you have 12 minutes to get your second driver into the car before you're going to miss driver time. Please don't do that because there's a lot of names on the timing screen that have been in the car since the beginning. So please, 12 minutes and let's say 30 seconds. Let's just get that done now, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, but as we talked about a bit earlier on, the Audi, it struggles to get much more than 45 minutes. It can do about maybe 48 or 9, and that's about it. So the Aston certainly has appears to have a broader window in which to make that what will be that car's final pit stop of the race. At least I hope it will be. They can run from there. So I wouldn't expect to see the Tyler McQuarrie car in for another 2 or 3 laps if they can stretch it that far. Of course, that car has not yet stopped at all. So Tyler McQuarrie there, I'm sure, has been running conservative lap times just to make sure he ekes out that fuel as long as he possibly can. 2
significant things just happened. We've now had more green than we've had yellow in this race. And into the pit lane, the leader in the TCR category. That's Ryan Norman, who brought in the bright red number 33 Hyundai Veloster. Yeah?
And Gabby Chavez, who will be taking it back out after they have changed the front tires on this car. Remember, they changed 4 tires on this car earlier on, and away it goes. Looked like there was a bit of a delay between when the fuel nozzle came out and when the car actually got rolling down the pit lane again. I hope not, because they are involved in a very, very intense battle for the lead of TCR. Also into the pit lane, last year's race winner, number 4, Russell Ward, coming in his Mercedes, the black with the red accents from the Mobil 1 on it. Nico Bastian co-driving with Russell again this weekend after joining the team for the first time at the last round at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Fuel and 4 tires for the Mercedes as the driver change is nearing complete. They had to actually move the seat back before Russell could get out of the car. So that was a little bit of a slow driver change, but the tire change still going on. So it looks like Windward Racing might just get away with that one.
Yeah, that was because they didn't want to take the steering wheel off, Shea. You make a choice on some of the GT4 cars. Do you take the steering wheel off to give yourself more room, or do you slide the seat back? I maybe should have slid that seat back earlier on, because I think they're losing time now. Is the fuel hose out of that car now?
Yes, now that car has completed its service, just waiting for it to get moving once again. Is into the pit lane comes the race leader, and also in Haley Deegan in the number 22 Ford Mustang, handing over to Seb Creo. That car was flying in Seb's hands in practice yesterday for both of the sessions, so that will be a serious contender should it be able to catch back up. In comes Tyler McQuarrie, McDrifty, hopping out very calmly of that Audi. You would never know that he's just driven a race car at max capacity for the last hour and 10 minutes, pulls out his seat insert and makes way for Jeff Westphal, just accidentally triggering the windshield wiper off to the left side of the steering wheel as he jumps out of the car. Jeff putting his belts on, making sure that he gets them over the Hans device and into a nice, comfortable position. They are doing 4 tires for the Carbon Autosport with Peregrine Racing Team. They know how to win races and how to win the championship. They did both last year. And so they're taking it calm and just going about their daily motion. Jeff now realizing that the windshield wipers are on, and instead of turning them off, flick them on even more intensely before finally getting that triggered. But the crew just waiting on fuel at this point. Car dropping off the air jacks. And there goes Jeff Westphal. Where is the Aston Martin?
IMSA coming down to the final corner right now. This is going to be a drag race on the pit lane speed limiter, off the speed limiter now for the 39 car, but you can't join the circuit straight away. Have to stay to the left-hand side. Just noticed, by the way, they've picked up the Audi tyre centre sponsorship that was on the hardpoint last couple of races on the hardpoint Audi. It's going to be almost side by side, and remember, the Aston is up to temperature and pressure as far as the Michelin tyres is concerned. Here's the battle for the effective lead as Brynjolfsson is going to pit, and through goes the Aston Martin at entrance to turn 4. All about the additional performance of tyres that were already up to temperature and pressure. Gallant pits as well, so scored as the leader next time around will be Jeff Mosing, but he's pitted. So is it going to be Dylan Murray in the Riley Motorsports Mercedes, or will we cycle all the way around to these two who have been battling on? I suspect, Jeremy Shaw, that most everybody ahead of these two are going to pit again. And my goodness, the difference in performance with tyres that have been on the car for just a few laps longer and therefore are up to working temperature. Extraordinary for the Aston Martin.
Yeah, 4 laps. The Aston was able to pit before, or 3 laps, I guess it was actually, before the Audi, and that's absolutely crucial because the Audi was trying to save fuel. I'm sure he could have gone faster, but he couldn't because he didn't want to use too much fuel. He had to get to that. They got to about 50 minutes to go before they brought number 39 car into the pits. That's his absolute max fuel range. The Aston clearly could do another 4 or 5 minutes, and that I think is going to be the determining factor in this race. There's Trent Hinman trying to resume out of the pit lane. I'm surprised they didn't stop the number 7 car a couple of laps ago, actually, although having said that, Alan Brynjolfsson was doing a brilliant job in that second position, and he did actually lead a lap overall before he brought that car into the pits.
Yeah, and he's come out in what is effective second position of the cars that have stopped. Now, when did the 35 stop? James Cox did a couple of stints.
That car came in after 23 laps.
Yeah,
that
16 laps ago,
right
correct.
At the restart. They'd met the minimum drive time, put Dylan Murray into that car from Jim Cox, but he will have to make another pit stop before the end of this race with number 35 car.
Yeah, and has he just pitted? Yes, he has. He's just pitted now. That will then leave Tim Probert for Murillo Racing as the leader. Then Corey Lewis. Tim Probert and Corey Lewis have gone through. Great pass for the lead, using the excess of grip that they had from running it 4 laps earlier on. And That has put the Aston into the effective lead then for Kyle Marcelli, who is in 4th at the moment. So Murray pitted, Dylan Murray has pitted, Gregory Leafuger has pitted as well. So Probert, Lewis, Dyer, Marcelli, your top 4. Now, when did Dyer pit last time again? That was again on that restart, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Oh! And, well, it could have been even better for Trent Hinman if he hadn't gone off coming out the pit lane.
Yeah, that was a replay, wasn't it? Coming out of the pits, Trent, and he's now just ahead of Jeff Westphal out on the racetrack. But I think I'm surprised the Archangel team didn't bring number 7 car in a few laps longer, assuming they have the same fuel range as does the number 60 Aston Martin, which one would presume it does.
Stout defence by Trent Hinman has kept him ahead of the carbon number 39 Audi with Jeff Westphal behind the wheel. Of the cars in the front, Tim Probert will pit this time around, has pitted this time around. That will leave Corey Lewis to go through, which he has in the Motorsports in Action, the Mia McLaren. That's the number 3 car. He's been out there for 18 laps now. Tom Dyer will go through, no, he's pitted as well. So that will leave Kyle Marcelli to come through in 2nd, having had 6 laps. So he pitted 9 minutes ago, and we've got 44 minutes on the clock. Even I can work out that that would be a 53-minute stint. Hello to Eric Karub, who is not at the track this weekend. First time in a long time that Eric, who's the man at the head of Motorsport in Action, as not at the track. Guys are doing a decent job leading the race at the moment, but owing us a stop, having just put the fastest lap of the race in a few laps ago from Corey Lewis, which I failed to mention. My apologies. In that number 3, white and green, Motorsports in Action McLaren, coming down to the penultimate corner at the moment with the BGB Jan Halen now behind the wheel of the Cayman, which has had a incident-packed race, I think. Write the press release for that one, Jeremy.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, he actually said that soon after he took over the wheel of the car, taking advantage of the fresh tyres on that Mia McLaren. Corey Lewis back on lap 27 when he was he just made the stop. He stopped 2 or 3 laps earlier and taken advantage of those fresh tyres. So and that time was a 1:31.2, which is far and away a new lap record. The old lap record was a 32.0 by Kyle Marcelli 1 year ago. So that 1:31.2 is a pretty remarkable lap. Kyle Marcelli, by the way, has just done a 1:31.8 in the 2nd place car. And there's been a whole bunch of cars in the 31s as well.
Yeah, Hinman a 31.6, call it a 31.7. So there's 19 seconds between 1st and 2nd. But remember, Corey Lewis in that Mia McLaren, A, slightly being held up, I think, at the moment. But also, B, needs to give us his final pit stop. Kyle Marcelli has only made 1 stop. It was 6 laps ago. If he's going to go to the end, he will have had to do 53 minutes. And at the moment, everything that Kyle has done has been green flag racing. So possibly a little bit of intervention of the safety car might help him out. Shea Adam has the fuel update in, appropriately enough, the VP Racing Fuel Pit and Paddock report.
Just been doing a little bit of snooping and a little bit of talking to some other of the brains up and down the pit wall. They don't think Marcelli can make it on his tank of fuel because he left the pit lane with 53 minutes and 55 seconds to go, whereas the Carbon team left with a lot fewer than that. So the Audi right now isn't worried about fighting for the track position with the car ahead of him because they think that the 60 Aston Martin will need another stop, but that 7 Aston Martin might just be able to squeak it.
Well, Jeremy mentioned that they can't do much more than 45 minutes, and they would have to do about 47, 48 minutes, Jeremy, if if they are going to get to the end in that Audi. So it's tight for them as well, I think. Was it 50?
They came in with 50
right.
to go. They came in number 39 car. The number 60
counting
car,
it from when he went out, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. The number 60 car, that came in 3 laps sooner.
Correct.
Before that. So either the Aston Martin does not have enough to go to the end, or it has better fuel range, one of the two. We're going to find that out in the later stages of this race, obviously, because I would have thought they would have brought number 7 car in as soon as they possibly could in order to get to the end without having to make another splash, and that was in 4 laps after the number 60 Aston Martin. So similar cars came in 4 laps apart. So I would concur with that. So either the 60 car is getting really good fuel consumption, or it's not getting good enough, and that's why it came in before the number 39 car. But there's no question in my mind, Tyler McQuarrie could have gone a lot faster all the way through his stint, but couldn't because he needed to make sure he didn't burn up too much fuel.
At the moment, the leader is now losing time, a couple of seconds off his best lap time, although the car is moving around a bit. I don't think it's all Jan Heerlen holding him up in the BGB Kearman, but he is certainly now being held up. He's struggling for a little bit of grip as the battle for second and third goes across the start-finish line and down into turn 2. The Volt Aston Martin is in 3rd position with Trent Hinman behind the wheel, and then Jeff Westphal in 4th position.
Yeah, and Trent Hinman is definitely closing now on Kyle Marcelli. So Kyle Marcelli has definitely got the message in my book. He knows he's got to somehow perhaps try and save enough fuel to get to the end of this race. I think it's going to be a bit of a stretch. And I think that's probably why, because Kyle Marcelli, he was a track record holder here last year. We know how good Kyle Marcelli is, and he's not going to be losing a second or more a lap to Trent Hinman, who's also a very good driver, obviously, a former series champion. But Jeff Westphal is hanging in there behind the number 7 Aston Martin, both of those two closing on the number 60. This is going to be a really interesting contest.
Now, Sarah Rigby, Alan Prosser, among others, have also spotted the Yoda on the right-hand side of the cockpit of the 39 car. There's got to be a story behind this shit, Adam.
And there is. It's a lucky charm. After their first season with some bad luck, they put the Yoda in the car, and it has not left the car since then. So it rode with them during their championship, and it's rode with them through this season, but we just haven't noticed it because it's Yoda, and if he doesn't want to be noticed, he won't be.
And Yoda's uncle has just tweeted to us here at IMSA Radio, just as well my nephew Karsik does not get. Very good. And let's hope that it brings them some decent luck then. Motorsport in action. Bingham McLaren leads in the GS category. It is John Morley in the TCR class for Road Shagger Racing. This is on the pit stops. He's only made 1 pit stop, and John's been out there for quite a long time now in that car. Been out there for half an hour. Near enough, Jeremy, and he's racking off the laps, doing a nice job. It's all been green, but he will, of course, have to stop before the end.
Yeah, I would certainly anticipate that being the case. I don't think he can stretch his fuel that far, and I think it's a shame. Well, we'll have to wait and see, obviously, but I think it's a shame that Gavin Ernst was, I presume, struggling at the wheel of that car, didn't want to push it anymore, get out of the car and hand over to John. But if he'd been able to do another 15 or 20 minutes, they could be looking really good for the win. I think this is probably most likely going to hand the lead and the advantage very much back to the Hyundais.
Yeah, and in particular the second car, the bright red one, that is 33, Gabby Chavez, behind the wheel of that. With my rudimentary calculations, I would say with, let's call it 36 minutes to go, he would have had to have done 1 hour and 6 minutes. I think that's asking a wee bit too much, even of John, who is a superb driver and can flick the switch between pace and fuel save. His last lap was a 35.2 against a 34.5 for Chavez. Parker Chase is now behind the wheel of the 29 Brian Herder Autosport Hyundai Veloster NTCR, did a 35.4. Parker got into that car only 11 laps ago. John now coming round to complete 20 laps since he jumped in that car. Bit of yellow, might not take that much, you know, and maybe that's what they're thinking. Save a bit of fuel and then hope for a yellow later on, and just stay out there and take your chances. His gap at the moment is about 6.5 seconds.
Look, he came in 5 laps. Number 61 car came in 5 laps before number 77, which is the LA Honda World car of Taylor Hagler to hand over to Ryan Eversley. So, you know, if he thinks he can get 5 more laps out of that Audi, he's certainly going to be on cruise mode here, just going to run whatever pace he can in order to stay ahead of the Hyundais. Last time around he was about a second, 1.2 seconds slower than the Hyundai, but the Hyundai is now only 7 seconds behind him.
How are they fixed in the championship, Jeremy, in terms of of Gavin and John?
They come into this weekend 4th in points, but 17 behind Mason Philippi and Michael Lewis. They're 6 behind Harry Gottsack and Mark Wilkins, and behind Gabby Chavez, they're 9 points behind Chavez.
Okay, so there is opportunity, particularly with one of those pairings not here this weekend, and one of the others that you mentioned there who've had problems. So there is a bit of an opportunity.
Yes.
I think they'll go past Gottsack, because they're sitting down in 7th, and I don't think they're going to get better than 7th unless something happens further up the field. Meantime, got a bit of a battle going on. It is Jeff Westphal who has just been passed, in fact, by Trent Hinman. Jeremy said that Trent was closing in, made the pass, but hasn't been able to pull away. Westphal with Yoda, who appears to be holding an onboard camera rather well, actually. Fantastic. He's still staring at the back of the vault Aston Martin for Archangel Motorsport, and that is the battle for 3rd and 4th position. They've got about a second and a half between them and 2nd place, which is Kyle Marcelli in the Core Motorsports, the multicoloured, mainly white, but with the multicoloured stripes on. Just going through turn number 3 now, and they're all on the straight between 3 and 4. That's how close they are. And it's 11.5 seconds between that trio then. And Corey Lewis still owes us a pit stop in the Mia McLaren, but is still out front. And now has been in that car for quite some time, actually. Has been in for 25 laps. They've all been green, so that's coming on for not too far away from 40 minutes. So what does the McLaren do on fuel, and how close can he get to the end? How much fuel will he want to put in? Will he go for a new set of tyres? Of course he will, if he has to stop. And will there be a safety car?
That could be the clincher for number 3 car. I mean, they're going to probably pit with maybe in 10 or 15 minutes time, and they're going to fall a long way back down the order, but they'll probably come out around probably just outside the top 12, I think.
But with very fresh tyres for the dash to the end, and a very motivated driver in Corey Lewis, who has put the fastest lap of the race in, and by about 0.3 of a second, which it doesn't sound a lot, but that shows you what can be done, and that is presumably against people with similar aged tyres on their cars when they set their fastest lap, Jeremy. And in the closing stages here, because this is such a low grip circuit, the tyre degradation, the difference between the tyre performance when it's brand new and very much not brand new, that can be significant here.
True. Yeah. I mean, look, we're watching the Hyundai at the moment of Gabby Chavez. He's now he's got Tom Dyer in between himself and the class lead. It's only about 3 seconds, so he's halved that gap in about the last 4 or 5 laps to John Morley. So number 33 car, Gabby Chavez, he and his wife Gabby are expecting their first child fairly soon. So what a day it would be for them if they can perhaps come away with the win and most likely move back ahead in the championship points.
Just hearing from race control, the PF Motorsport number 40 Mustang now officially retired after that, what we think was a fuel pump issue, bizarrely behind one of the earlier safety cars. The car just lost fire and would not, despite the best efforts of James Pesnick and several 3-fingered salutes on the Control-Alt-Delete function, it would not refire. So bad news for them today in this WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca 120. And Shea reminding me that it was something that came unplugged to do with the fuel pump. Now, whether that was electrical or fuel, I suspect that was electrical, so I didn't see any fluid out of that. And a fuel pump that has no electrical power is actually just a closed valve, isn't it? It's not a pump at all. So, meantime, John Morley has been caught for the TCR lead by Gabby Chavez, and 22 seconds further back, Parton Chasers in 3rd position. He's 4.6 seconds ahead of Ryan Eversley in the battle for TCR. They're coming to the line now. The dark grey Audi, the very bright red with white and black Hyundai Veloster through the kink and down towards turn 2. Half an hour to go. Still that exhaust is waving around. Jan Halen right ahead of them. The BGB Motorsports Porsche 718 Cayman GT4. And that car's had, as we've described it, an eventful day. Shea Adam has been talking to Brian Hurt at Autosport, and when Shea talks to anybody on our VP Racing Fuel Pit and Paddock Report, she goes to the top. What's Mr. H been saying, Shea?
I quote from Mr. Brian Herta, "Glad it's not me Gabby's chasing. I wouldn't want to be in that position." He's not envying what John Morley is going through right now, because it is Gabby Chavez going for maximum points and that win.
Yeah, and on much newer tyres all round. Remember, they stopped early on and put 4 tyres on, so the back tyres have not done anywhere near as much work as the rears on the 61, but importantly they put new front tyres on at what was their second and what they hope to be their final stop. Still waving a little bit of bodywork on the right front, both of those cars with right front damage, much more pronounced on the 61 Audi as they come out the final corner. And that Audi, Jeremy, really punches out in the final corner very, very quickly indeed, and gets good drive off the centre of turn 11.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, it's it's a fast car, and I'm sure John Morley is out there sort of trying to save fuel, so he's just pushing it as hard as he possibly can in the corners, and hoping that he can stay ahead on the straight bits as well.
Same story for Corey Lewis at the head of the field as well, because he's got a pit stop to make as well, and he's got it back up to 7 seconds, that lead over Marcelli. He's under pressure.
He's coming down a second or more a lap.
Right.
It's coming down at least a second a lap, but there's no way I don't think the number 3 car can get to the end.
I think he's due any time now, if I'm honest. He's done nearly 30 laps.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if he comes at the end of this lap. 30 laps is a good average stint on a track of this length for a GT4 car.
Yeah, I think the Michelin tires on that car, I think, have probably passed their best by now. He took full advantage of it on. Here's a move to the inside, though, at the corkscrew. Brian Herta will kind of appreciate that move.
At the block coming down the hill to the left-hander at Rainey. And he's managed to do that and get the pass made. Now John Morley goes to the inside, then flicks to the right. Now we know this Audi's very quick out the final corner, and having made the one move to defend to the inside of the final corner, the Hyundai then could not go back up the racing line. Morley with a good drag off the final corner as the leader is in the pit lane, and again pulls out to the outside to the second place car. Now to the inside, there's a little tap, there's another little tap as they come out of turn 2. This is not over yet, and John Morley is making a fight of this, Jeremy. Leader in the pit lane, Shea Adam.
Fuel and tires for Corey Lewis, as the McLaren can only do one tire stop at a time because they use a center locking wheel nut and one gun. So they are given a penalty in a different form than the 5 lug nuts and the 2 guns that we normally see on the pit stops. But fuel and tires for Corey Lewis.
And that will get him to the end. He's going to drop down, as Jeremy suggested, to the bottom end of the top 10. In fact, he's just dropped out of the top 10 already, as Alex Hidalgo goes by for Winward Racing. But that will be a very fast car. The question is, how far can he get back up the field in the last 25 minutes? He's already out of the pit lane. A full course yellow now with him on brand new Michelins could be very interesting indeed. Well, still this battle for second as well, Jeremy.
It would certainly be good news for Kyle Marcelli, no question about that, because now he has got the other Aston Martin, Trent Hinman, right on his tail. We've now got a 3-car battle for the lead, with Jeff Westphal looking there to pick up the pieces if it all goes wrong between the Aston Martins.
And a mistake by the leader. Marcelli coming out of the penultimate corner, the right-hander at turn 10, went way too wide, dropped his Michelins onto the dirt, lost grip, had to lift off the throttle and gather himself together. He's lost the lead, he's lost second as Macquarie's gone through. Hinman leads for Archangel Motorsports, Westphal second for Carbon, and in third, Core Motorsports, championship leaders in the Aston Martin. This is a bit of a turnaround in the points situation, but not a big enough gap, I would suggest, as far as Jeff Westphal's concerned, and he'll want to charge as hard as he can behind that number 7 Volt Archangel Aston Martin.
Yeah, the fact that number 39 car had to save a lot of fuel through that long first stint, a brilliant first stint by Tyler Macquarie, means I think now that Jeff Westphal could push pretty hard, and I think we said early on it was going to be a race between the Aston and the Audi. That's exactly what it is. I think Kyle Marcelli is just trying to stroke that car home. If he get home without making another pit stop, he'll be delighted with that. He's got a pretty good lead over the 4th place car. Nico Bastian got past Robbie Foley, by the way, a couple of laps ago. It's still game on here at the front of the field.
That would be a 53, nearly 54 minute run for Marcelli, and Jeff Westphal, I think we said that was going to be nearly 50. However, for Trent Hinman, he's about a lap better off, so that's going to be pretty much a 45-minute run since he came out of the pits, depending on when the checkered flag. So I think Hinman's pretty well off here. Just a little mistake, as I said. Just a little mistake, as I said, from Marcelli, and that was enough. He was very fair though, Jeremy. Once he'd made the mistake, he didn't chop back on the right-hand side, which he could have done, and many would have done, to be honest, having made the mistake. Oh, I've made a mistake. Let's get back to the racing line. Bish, bash, bosh. Could have lost all 3 of the leaders there.
Quite agree with you. That was very sensible driving by Kyle Marcelli. There's no point in fighting. He's just got to bring this car home. If he can finish in 3rd place, that would be brilliant for him, because he's got a 20-point lead in the championship coming into this race. So he doesn't need to do anything rash out there. He's just got to bring it home.
Well, it's all going to be on the fuel burn for that 3rd place Aston Martin now. Really moving around the number 7 car going into turn number 6, and Trent Hinman turned in there, and there was a moment when I thought that car wasn't going to respond to him. The front Michelins were turning and the Aston wasn't. That's push, that's understeer, and that's because Trent Hinman is under real pressure from Jeff Westphal.
What a great drive by Trent Hinman. This is the first time he's raced the Aston Martin. Of course, he didn't get a chance to race it last time out. He did some laps in practice and qualifying, of course, or not in qualifying, just in practice. But this is the first time he's actually raced the Aston Martin. So what a good job he is doing, having taken over after a really, really fine first stint for Alan Brynjolfsson. Looking for their third win for Alan Brynjolfsson. Will be the 10th for Trent Hinman if they can get through this final. There's still 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, 21 minutes. And let's not forget, Jeremy, it depends when they go across the line. So you could add maybe almost another minute and a half on that if you cross the line, you know, just with about a minute and 40 to go. You won't get the white flag next time around, so you'll be another minute beyond the hour and 120 minutes of the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca 120, and that could be absolutely crucial for one or two of these cars at the front of both of these categories.
Very true, very true. You know, 20 minutes is, you know, it is a long time, and look at how the shadows are lengthening here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, and it makes the sight can be tricky, particularly going into through the corkscrew.
Side by side two AMG GT4s. Side by side through 5. Surely they won't try and go side by side through turn 6 as well. It's Dylan Murray and Eric Foss, and Dylan Murray getting the benefit there. And Riley Motorsports, the wins car, up into 8th position from Eric Foss in 9th. And those two now at the top of the corkscrew with Ryan Eversley right ahead of them. Meantime, the battle for the lead has just gone past John Morley, who is still out there and running nicely. Thank you very much. 2.5 seconds away from the leader in TCR, but the battle for the lead overall and in GS just goes through turn 3 under the bridge and heading down towards turn 4. Westphal has not given this up. Jeff has not given this up. Oh, the two AMGs are side by side again across the line. Well, we'll know if they've traded paint there, because really those two colours do not fit well together. The wins car, very brightly coloured in the purple and orange and, well, pink. And then that chrome copper colour of Murillo Racing. And they're still at it. And they're still side by side. And is this down the inside at turn 4 to get the position back? Yes, it is. The 56 goes back through. Brilliant stuff from Eric Voss and Dylan Murray. Well, it just goes to prove they might be battling for 8th position, Jeremy, but they're having great fun. Side by side through turn 5 again. Now, that Riley 35 car, excuse me, is for sale. So I'm presuming that Dylan's been told not to put a mark on it. The leaders come across the line again. Westphal pushing this hard, Jeremy. You mentioned the lack of fuel mileage that we've seen this year for the Audis, round about 45 minutes on most circuits. This is quite a heavy fuel usage circuit because there's a lot of flat out running.
Not really. It's a low speed track, so it certainly isn't as bad as some other tracks on the circuit. You can get a bit more here, I think, than some other places, just because it's not as fast, not as much sort of full, flat out, top of the range running as there is on somewhere even like Michelin Raceway.
So, is this pace from the two leaders, Trent Hinman and Jeff Westphal, 33s, low 33s last time around? I mean, it is going to be a stretch, surely, for the Audi Tyre Centre sponsored Carbon car, but he's pushing. He's really trying to push Hinman, and he's not letting Hinman just cruise it either. So has Jeff been doing enough fuel saving when he was out in front to get the call from the pit lane? Right, your numbers are all right, mate. Now you can go and race. Because there was a noticeable difference after he'd been sort of closed down, and then these two went into the lead and saw off Kyle Marcelli. There's been a noticeable difference in the pace.
the number 7 car came in 1 lap after number 39. So, you know, I mean, these cars are supposed to be balanced such that they can run similar distances on fuel.
I was going to say that includes fuel mileage. That's part of the BOP, isn't it? Yeah.
Effectively, yes.
So that's tank size and things like that that are balanced by the IMSA to basically level the playing fields on cars that quite often have very different philosophies and layouts, etc. They're carving their way through traffic at the moment. I just wanted to carry on. We've only got 15, call it 16 minutes to go. I just wanted to carry on because this is brilliant stuff from 2 drivers who are clearly very comfortable in these cars. GT4 cars do have a little bit of electronic aids, ABS, traction control, and these two, well, the Aston is quite sophisticated in and is one of the newer GT4 cars. The Audi not in the first flush of youth, but has had a couple of updates and has the engine in the middle, so that's very good for tyre wear normally. But the guys from Aston will tell you that that is a front engine car, but it's a front mid-engine car because the AMG sourced V8 is pushed a long way back and they've got a transaxle gearbox on the rear axle, so it's a near 50-50 weight split. This is a cracking battle.
It certainly is. I mean, the Aston and the Audi, they've been the cars to beat this season, no question about it. And in terms of the well, having said that, though, in the Manufacturers' Championship, it's Aston and Mercedes were separated by just 1 point at the front. Audi another 7 points back in 3rd position. But, you know, it's been a really good manufacturer battle, a good drivers' championship all the way through.
33 is leading in the TCR category. Gabby Chavez has pulled out about 4 seconds now on John Morley, who must be due for a pit stop soon. He's been out there since 1876 or something, hasn't he? I think he's done 50. He's done 50 minutes now. You prefer that? That's 31 laps, all green flag laps, by the way. As the battle for the lead goes through turn 6 and heads up the hill, goes by the KMW TMR Alfa Romeo Giulietta, which, by the way, is now in 5th position after its trials, tribulations and pit stops early on. Adam, what you got?
John, you're not supposed to mention the Alpha. Every time we mention it in the last 30 minutes of the race, it stops on track. I'm sorry, KMW, I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. What Alpha? There's no Alpha out there. Alpha.
This is not the Alpha you are looking for.
That's right.
Move along.
Go about your business. Move along. Go about your business. Now, how's Alex Udell doing? He is, excuse me, it's Nico Bastian, isn't it, in the number 4 car for Winward Racing, sitting in a rather quiet 4th position at the moment. Robbie Foley is not catching in the last time around. He's got about 2.5 seconds on Robbie. Ahead of him, it's Kyle Marcelli. He took 4/10 out of Kyle, but he's got 11.5 seconds to make up in that GT4 AMG. So at the moment, stroking that one home for another decent result for Winward Racing. Alec Udell in the 2nd car is in 11th position.
Scoring's not updating. Which is not helpful. Got 3 different scoring systems on.
All telling different stories.
Yeah, well, it seems to be an awful long 59th lap for these cars.
Just hearing that officially, although I think we've guessed that the number 71, that's the Rebel Rock Urban Grid Camaro, has been retired. So
okay, finally it's updated itself, right. There's a timing glitch there of some sort, but it's finally sorted itself out. We're 3 laps without the timing.
We are now on lap 62 completed.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
All of a sudden it let forward 3 laps.
Yeah. Well done to the guys at Alcabel, making that one work. So Archangel Motorsports by 7/10 of a second. Shea.
John,
What?
you did curse them. There was a big puff of white smoke out the back of the Alpha coming through the corkscrew.
You are kidding me.
Nope, it's in the pit lane now. I'm gonna watch this, but I think
44 minutes.
That's it.
44 minutes for that car. They dash into action down there, and no sign of any fuel going in.
They're working in the passenger side of the car. Well, if there would be a passenger, it would be on that side of the car, but two mechanics ran around to that corner of the car, and the mechanic standing in front of the car actually just shaking his head. He can't believe they made it within almost 10 minutes to the end of the race. And heartbreak again, they have DNF'd the last 1, 2, 3 races in a row, and 4 out of the last 5.
All right, hashtag blame Hindhoff. Fine.
It's not me, I'm keeping my mouth shut.
But you had an unbelievable weekend at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Every time you mentioned anybody or anything, it literally went up in smoke. That's the most within a lap or two. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, it was 20 minutes ago and Jeremy said something.
I tell you, hey John, enjoy the rest of the race. I'll talk to you when the checkered flag falls. How's that?
All right. I think that's what everybody on the pit wall will be saying about you and I.
Yes.
Just can we just have Shea doing the reports, please? Don't let those two talk about our cars anymore. We're down in under 10 minutes to go at IMSA Radio. And we're on RS2 around the circuit and around the world as well, of course. Good to have your company. Final action of Super Saturday. We've got Sunday with qualifying for IMSA WeatherTech, then a Lamborghini, the second of the 2 Lamborghini Trofeo races, and then the Hyundai Endurance Challenge on Sunday for IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. Mia McLaren, I said this car would be battling through. It is. Corey Lewis just going past Sebastian Priaulx. That's 11th position.
And also in this fight is the 7 car, Alec Udell. Actually, he finally just got past Seb Priaulx. So Priaulx's all of a sudden lost a couple of positions there.
And Udell's going past Murray at turn 5. So this is the battle, and they're all sort of relatively close by. So Dylan Murray is in 9th, Udell in 10th, then Lewis in 11th, and Priaulx in 12th. And there's a couple of places to be made up here for Corey Lewis on much newer Michelin rubber than those around him. They're at the top of the corkscrew now. 8.5 minutes to go. Half a second between first and second. The car's scraping on the ground as they bounce down that, 60 feet of drop between the top and the bottom of the corkscrew. And now we have 9th, 10th and 11th. And this is what we were talking about earlier on, about the tyres having taken their toll. They've been sliding around. Huge wide exit from the final corner from the Riley Motorsport AMG. Just had no grip whatsoever. Udell goes down the inside and takes over what is 8th position. Check that, 9th position. And Corey Lewis, I think, is looking to make hay and has done, so he's gone through. Now, how far up the road is Eric Voss? I think he's 10 seconds. He is 10 seconds up the road. Sounds like a lot, but Corey Lewis in clear air, he might be able to take a second and a half or so out of those ahead of them. He's on much newer tyres. That's a huge advantage right now, Jeremy.
Well, it really is. You're absolutely right, and he's charging, even making a couple of passes on that lap. He was a second quicker than Alec Udell, who just went past Alec Udell. He was actually a little bit slower than Eric Voss, but that was also with passing a couple of cars. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Incredible consistency at the front of the field by our race leader Trent Hinman. His last 3 laps have been within milliseconds of each other, and yet still he hasn't pulled away. There's Jeff Westphal looming large in his mirrors. These 2 cars are still very, very closely matched. We're inside now with just over 6.5 minutes remaining in this race.
Yeah, and they've been lapping, obviously, you know, within tenths, in fact, not even tenths, fraction of tenths of a second. It's barely been more than half a second for, well, the last 20 minutes, to be honest. This has been tremendous. And think of the concentration for both of these drivers, dear viewer and listener. Trent Hinman, he comes upon traffic first. He's got to not make a mistake. Jeff Westphal, he has to push and look at the back of the car in front. There is a bit of aerodynamic advantage for sitting in behind on the straights, but in the corners, in the turns, these GT4 cars do produce a little bit of downforce. Look at the front of the cars when they drive past you. You can quite clearly see the big wing on the back and the aero at the front. That's balancing out, that's giving a little bit of downforce. So that means that Westphal isn't getting the best aerodynamically out of the car as he turns in. That's putting pressure on his front tyres. He's right there though at turn 2 now and closes in under braking. Now this could come down, Jeremy, to who has kept their Michelins in better shape at the end of the race. They're down in the 33s now. Their bests are 31s. Their two best times, 31.6 and 31.6 for these two. That's their best laps. Last time around, 33.4 for Hinman, 33.2 for Westphal. He's there now, and this is Westphal now, I think, deciding with 5 minutes to go, it's time to pressure, it's time to try and make a meaningful manoeuvre, which he hasn't done as yet, but he's getting close enough to make that challenge now, Jeremy Shaw.
Look, the gap's pretty much constant since they came out of the pits, quite frankly. He's been that close all the way along. But certainly, we're getting now down to the end of the race. We know that the car barn with Peregrine Racing team, the Audi team, they just want wins. The number 7 car is also just want wins, but for different reasons, of course. Number 7 car just wants a win because they're not in the championship reckoning. Number 39 car, they still are in the championship reckoning if they can get a win today. Taking a win as the wheel, yikes.
Touch and side-by-side action. That was the Riley car and Seb Priaulx. So Dylan Murray with a little bit of a moment there as he was ushered gently off the circuit by Seb Priaulx. And that was a very scary moment for both of them there. Big plume of dust thrown into the air. But Dylan Murray lives to fight another day. But his lap times have dropped away. Gregory Leafuger, the same issue. So has Robbie Foley. Eric Foss, his lap times have dropped away. So Corey Lewis now, remember it was just over 10 seconds when we said Corey Lewis started to chase down 8th position. It's now just over 7 seconds. I don't think he's going to get there, but he's going to give it a good try. And still the leaders will now, a couple of laps left. So that Audi is going to go to the end now. There's no point in stopping. And if either of them have got a problem, both of them have a problem on fuel because they stopped, Jeremy, with just a lap between them. And if one of them coughs and splutters, they could both be in big trouble here. There's a long drag up to the corkscrew on the last lap if you've got to be saving fuel and the engine's starting to splutter.
Yeah, but you know they're just going to push as hard as they possibly can. They both want this win desperately. It would be the first win of the season for the number 7 team, and they're just going to push as hard as they possibly can. They had a couple of podium finishes, but they would love the first win, that's for sure.
Here's Westphal getting a good tour down the front straight. Now, which side does he go? All in shade down at turn 2 now. He flicks to the outside. He'll drag it back to the inside on the second apex and try to get better drive down to turn 3, but that didn't work for him there. He was right underneath the back of the Aston. It looks like the Audi's a little better on the brakes. The Aston is very good through the middle of the corner, and it's about even coming off the corners.
Yeah, and Trent Hinman, he was super defensive. They're going down into the Mario Andretti hairpin last time around, and he's going to be defensive in the final 2 minutes of this race. It's going to be white flag, I think, next time around.
I'd agree with that, Jeremy. So we will go over the 120 minutes of the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca 120 and the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge, the penultimate race of the season. We'll finish it all off at Sebring for the Mobil 1 12 hours part of that weekend at the Corkscrew for the last but one time. Fabulous light, great racetrack and brilliant racing. Through turn 9, now down to the right-hander at turn 10. Nothing in it between these two. This has been, whatever happens from here, Jeremy, this has been a brilliant display of absolute on-the-limit driving from these two since they came out of the pits for what was their last pit stop. And there's a little bit of an overlap here. It is coming out of the final corner. They've touched again, going across the start-finish line, and Westfall's got the inside line into the Mario Andretti hairpin, and he's made that manoeuvre, and that car is good on the brakes. Now, can he haul it back? Here comes Hinman, sticks the nose in, but backs out of it. Smart driving by Trent there. Knew he'd lost the lead, thought he might have a little go, but there's traffic ahead. Less than 2 miles to go now, and there's battling TCR cars right ahead of him. Gabby Chavez, no, it's Parker Chase and Ryan Eversley who are battling for the 3rd spot on the podium, and they're still battling right ahead of the leaders. Looks like they're going to be able to get through to turn 5, and that's a massive move into turn 6 for the Audi. Puts a Hyundai TCR between him and second place for the moment. What a brilliantly judged run, if it is to be the win for Jeff Westphal, because he sat there and watched the back of that Volt car for lap after lap after lap. It's not all downhill from the Corkscrew. There is an uphill section from about where they are now, coming out of turn 10 through 11 to the start-finish line. Sun in their eyes, they won't mind that now. Brilliant run for Westphal. Nearly 50 minutes. Checkered flag is out, and the Audi takes it, and the Carbahn team go absolutely mad. They beat an Aston Martin, and the good news is it's not the Aston Martin that's in the championship hunt, because Marcelli does make it to the line. That's an even better economy drive from Kyle Marcelli, who's just done 55 minutes since his last pit stop. It'll be Winwood Racing for Mercedes-AMG in 4th position ahead of Turner, and Robbie Foley brings home the BMW, the first of 2 BMWs, with Bimmerworld in 6th. In TCR, Gabby Chavez is going to win, and John Morley, what a drive by John Morley. He must have had his slippers on there. He dropped back 9 seconds in the end, but what a race that was. So John Morley, 1 hour and 6 minutes, he has stretched the fuel on that Audi TCR. Couldn't have the pace of the leading car, but that was extraordinary. So Gavin did do just enough at the start of the race to get that car to the end. 3rd for Parker Chase and Brian Herter Autosport. All done as they went on to the final lap with the white flag waving. It was about at the line, Jeremy, when Westphal made the move, but that was all set up coming out of turn 11 with that little bit extra grip we were talking about. He was able to get to the left-hand side, the inside, and get the overlap very, very early on the front straight.
Yeah, I mean, the Audi you talked about earlier on had really good cornering speed there. He was able to make that, get a nose alongside him, and that was a really, really well-judged win by this Carbahn team. They had to work super hard for that. They had a fast car, no question about it, but they had to work really hard. They had to make sure they had the fuel economy, had to save fuel when it mattered, and then go for it at the end. Brilliant drive by this entire team.
Yeah, great driving from both of the drivers, great strategy as well. Jeremy's doing a little bit of arithmetic at the moment in the evening sunshine at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. This is going to be big celebrations this Super Saturday evening. Jeremy, what does that do to the championship in GS?
Well, in GS, there was a 20-point advantage coming in for Nate Stacey and Karl Marcelli. That will be reduced by 5 because they finished in 3rd position. So that'll now be a 15-point edge with just a 1 race to go. So that would mean a top 11 finish. We're tied up for Nate Stacey and Karl Marcelli at Sebring in a few weeks' time.
And as far as TCR is concerned, some real shake around there with some of the championship contenders in early trouble, but with a small field, the points gained and lost might not be that significant.
Not quite as critical as before, certainly. Ryan Norman and Gabby Chavez having lost the championship lead with a disappointing result last time out. They had a failure there. The win here will take them back into the lead. A case of Mason Filippi and Michael Lewis, the 2 California kids, the Avocado Boys, as they call themselves. They will now be 4 points behind Ryan Norman and Gabby Chavez going into the final race at Sebring.
And John Morley and Gavin Ernstone have done themselves no harm either in that number 61 car. Have they overhauled Mason Filippi? No, they won't have done that. They won't have overhauled the 91 guys. Not quite. But they will have. The 61 guys will have closed up as well on the top 2.
Yeah, they will actually move ahead of Harry Gottsacker and Mark Wilkins. So Gavin Ernst and John Morley will now be in 3rd position and still only 12 points out of the lead and 2 points ahead of Harry Gottsacker and Mark Wilkins.
I think they would have taken that before today. Congrats to them and indeed to all of our podium finishers. What a race. Somewhat of a unglamorous start to the race. We had far more yellow flag racing than green up until about a third of the way through, and then after our third intervention by the Hyundai Veloster N safety car, a full hour and 14 of green flag racing. That result, Jeremy, we've heard about the driver's situation. What about the manufacturer points?
Yeah, in GS, it was a 1 point edge for Aston Martin over Mercedes. It now would be a 3 point edge with Aston Martin over Mercedes, but Audi now within 2 points of Mercedes, so just 5 points off the championship lead. So that's going to come down to the final race very much at Sebring. In the TCR manufacturers, that'll pretty much wrap it up now for Hyundai.
Jeremy Shaw was with me, John Hindhoff, in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre. Shea Adam, our VP, Racing Fuel Pit and Paddock reporter. There are some celebrations and some formalities to go on in Victory Circle for Carbon and for Brian Herter Autosport with Curb Agajanian. Congratulations to all of the podium finishers and indeed everyone who got to the end. A race of attrition, certainly right from the start of that. And our penultimate round of the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge, the WeatherTech Raceway 120 is in the books. We'll have the drivers, the teams, and hopefully you back to join us again for the finale of the 2020 season at Sebring International Raceway as part of the Mobil 1 Sebring 12 Hours weekend. Here, we've got racing for you tomorrow. Qualifying for WeatherTech Sports Car Championship at 8:30 local time. And don't forget, the clocks fall back 1 hour tonight for those of you in the US. And when you're doing your time calculations elsewhere in the world, please remember that. We've got a second Lamborghini race with Brian Till and Jeremy Shaw looking after that one. And then the main event of the weekend, the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship here at the Hyundai Endurance Weekend at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. For the rest of the team, including Curry in London, Keith and the rest of the NASCAR production team up in Charlotte, and of course Curry and the rest of the team in London, as well as Shea and Jeremy. I'm John Hindhoff. Thanks for being with us on RS2 and live in sound and vision. Have a great evening. For those of you in the States, enjoy your extra hour tonight. Will you sleep or will you party? I think I know what the answer will be for Carbon. I know what they're doing with their extra 60 minutes. Speak to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.